Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Thursday edition of the Blood Red podcast, brought to you by the Liverpool Echo. We're coming to you a day early this week because Liverpool, of course, kick off their Premier League campaign tomorrow at home to AFC Bournemouth. If you didn't know that already, this probably isn't the podcast for you. I'm your host, Theo Squires, and joining me we have our LFC correspondent, both home and away, Paul Gorst. How are you, Gorsty?
Good, yeah. It does make me laugh when you're the only person I know who refers to them as AFC Bournemouth. Yeah. I know that is their proper name, good and proper and official. But,
Anything to make sure Arsenal aren't top of the table.
Yeah, there is that. Will they be top in May, which we're going to get into, aren't we? But yeah, good. We've been up to the AXA this morning, haven't we, for Arne Slot's first pre-match press conference of the new Premier League season. And he was in fine fettle.
We've actually managed to avoid a two-man podcast today. Joe Rimmer is still on holiday and Ian Doyle is enjoying a well-earned day off. So,
I don't know how well-earned it is. It's a day off.
He's had a busy week.
Yeah, has he?
I'll be kind to him. But like we saw at the weekend, didn't we? Arne Slot had to rely on the teenagers to fill out his matchday squad. We've had to go in the other direction. I don't think we've got any young journalists left on the books at the moment. But we've called up Rich Garnett.
Experience.
How are you, Rich?
I'm not too bad, mate. Thanks for that ageist comment. But,
Like Gary Mack coming in. A steady hand on the tiller.
That's it, yeah. You can speak to me lawyers in due course. But yeah, I'm okay, mate. Yeah, I'm feeling good. I've had a meal deal for lunch, which was pretty solid.
What was your choice?
It was barbecue chicken today with a bit of cheese in it, which was a bit outside my comfort zone, to be honest. But, hit the spot. And then we've got, obviously, Liverpool first home game tomorrow. Exciting stuff, and then I go on holiday on Monday, so it's all happening, mate.
You might need an eSIM for that holiday.
Do you know what, mate? If I do want to keep in touch with the latest transfer news, it would be handy if I had some form of way of keeping in touch with the information superhighway whilst travelling abroad.
Fortunately, we know NordVPN can help you out there, can't they? Like, it's a premium cybersecurity for the price of a cup of coffee. Are you a coffee drinker?
I can be for the benefit of this plug.
Are you a coffee drinker?
I certainly am, yes. Yeah.
I'm not, so I've got nothing else to spend my money on, so I might as well just go and put it on the NordVPN. You should know the drill by now. To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/bloodred. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the podcast episode description box. Now, I've said that so many times over recent months, but because it's not been the priority in the last few, I felt like I tripped over that one a little bit. Bring back Saley.
It was well said. The one that always trips me up, I don't do it very often, but link is in the podcast episode description box. I always struggle saying that. But you were flawless there, I thought.
We need producer Ian to make these roll off the tongue a little bit more, don't we? As ever, we're live on YouTube, so send in all your questions, all your comments. We'll get to them at some point during the show. And as you can imagine, transfer window, there's going to be a few transfer tidbits to get through too. And if you hadn't heard, summer signing number 9 is on the way. Giovanni Leoni, he is travelling over as we speak, if he's not already landed. Deal agreed with Parma. Gorsty, what do we know?
Yeah, so it was a deal that was only agreed actually last night. We reported on, what day are we on? Wednesday evening that Sporting Director Richie Hughes has been in contact with his Parma counterpart, Federico Cherubini, I think his name is, and eventually an agreement was reached at £26 million. So yeah, he's coming over for his medical today. He might even be in England now. But I think it sort of ends the long-term search for a young centre-back, doesn't it? You know, we know Liverpool 2 years ago quite liked Levi Colwill at Chelsea, albeit with the caveat that he'd just come off a season long loan at Brighton.
Just won the under-21s, aren't they, as well?
Yeah, with England, yeah. And Chelsea were obviously keen to get a look at them themselves, and he's obviously gone on to be a big player for them. Unfortunately, has suffered an ACL injury this summer, hasn't he? But Liverpool forced to look elsewhere, and then Lenny Yoro was on the sort of hit list last summer, and Real Madrid and United were at the door, and he ends up going to United. I think it was guarantees over how much he's going to be able to play at United over Real Madrid and Liverpool, and certainly how much he was going to be paid as well. And yeah, Dean Huijsen was another this summer who goes to Real Madrid when his £50 million release clause is triggered. So Liverpool finally got their young defender who they feel has got massive room to grow and become the sort of heir apparent to Virgil van Dijk, if you like. And haven't seen too much of him. He's only made 17 appearances for Parma last season, but he looks like a man mountain, doesn't he? You know, very assured, very big, strong, and you know, there's clips of him almost dominating Lukaku, which is no mean feat. So I think he's got huge upside. I think it's a bit of a a break from the norm for Liverpool to spend so much on unproven talent, shall we say. It's similar to sort of Sepp van den Berg all those years ago, but obviously the cost is a lot more in terms of a young defender with room to grow and become a star in the Premier League eventually. So, yeah, let's see how he gets on. He's not coming to go on loan. He's coming to go straight into the first team. And Liverpool a bit short on centre-backs at the moment, aren't they? With Joe Gomez not played since December, Van Dijk and Canate the only other two in there before you start looking at maybe putting Endo in there and maybe even Ryan Gravenberch. So I think it's come at a perfect time for Liverpool on the eve of the new Premier League season. I think tomorrow will come a bit too soon for him.
Yeah, I don't think he'll have been registered in time, will he?
But yeah, he should be knocking on the door of the squads going forward. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what he's all about. Certainly expect him to play in cup games, and it takes Liverpool spending to around about the 320 million mark, which is remarkable, really. But they've recouped the best part of 200 million as well. So yeah, plenty of wheeling and dealing going on, and looking forward to seeing what Leoni is all about when he eventually makes his debut.
Now, Gorst hasn't seen much of Leoni, but it's a different story for the man to his right. Rich, you saw him in Italy back in February, was it?
That is correct, yeah.
How did he do?
Well, I'd like to say I was there on a scouting mission to check him out for Richard Hughes, but that's not actually true. I was there for a Serie A weekend with my son after he duped me into taking him to the San Siro on the basis of they're about to knock it down. I can tell you there isn't even a spade in the ground outside, so there's no sign of that.
I went to the San Siro, I think we're probably talking 2019-20, with the same assumption it's about to get knocked down. We're still having the same conversation, aren't we, year after year? Yeah. It's still going.
Exactly. So the game was originally supposed to be on the Sunday, and then because they finished in the playoff section of the Champions League, the revised format Champions League, the game ended up getting moved to the Saturday. So I ended up going to Atalanta and Milan on the Saturday, and then I had time to kill on the Sunday, so I ended up getting the train down to Parma to watch Parma v Roma, which finished 1-0 to Roma, and Leoni was in the starting lineup for Parma. If you'd like to know how he played, I can tell you, because he got sent off after half an hour.
Nice and positive, that. Deserved red card?
What an half an hour, though.
Well, great half hour. Well, a clean sheet while he was on the pitch, yeah. I might point out. Very harsh, actually. You can, if you dig it out on YouTube, Parma 0, AS Roma 1. He trips a player as he's going through on goal. It's the lightest of touches. A little bit cynical, maybe. I don't know. You can be the judge. He was given a yellow card, and then the grasses at VAR overturned it and upgraded it to a red. And Roma actually scored a quite sumptuous free kick from the resulting set piece, and that was the only goal of the game. So yeah, I didn't get to see a lot of him.
The goal really did just come straight off the record.
Literally as a
not your fault, Gio. Sorry, lad.
Yeah, so yeah, look out for that one. If you're worrying about Liverpool from set pieces, probably a good idea not to give away fouls on the edge of your box. Incidentally, that goal was one of only 2 goals I saw in the whole weekend in 3 matches. So it's always nice to go to Italy, especially if you're a fan of the old Gazzetta Football Italia days like me. But yeah, it comes at a price of not that many goals. So didn't really get to see too much of him, but he was on the pitch, and obviously was starting for Parma, so they obviously rated him highly. They had a difficult season, and I think they just dragged themselves to safety in the end. But for Liverpool to go after him, he was obviously keen on the move as well. Shows what they must think of him, and now he's got 2 jobs, really, hasn't he? One is to try and break into that Liverpool defence over a course of time, and the other is to become that rare breed of being a successful Italian footballer playing for Liverpool, because I can't think of too many.
I don't think there's any, to be honest.
Possibly not.
No. But I think what is interesting is Arrigo Sacchi writing in his Gazzetta dello Sport column. You know, anyone who knows anything about Italian football knows the name Arrigo Sacchi, and Jamie Carragher, I think he's one of his heroes. Jurgen Klopp certainly, worshipped him as well at times, and he was very complimentary, wasn't he, about the talent that Leoni's got, and I think that says a lot, because Arrigo Sacchi isn't going to dedicate a portion of his column, I guess, to any old up and comer, certainly an 18-year-old. So yeah, he seems as though he's the big hope of the Italian national side defence for the coming years, and if he's anything like some of the lads who've gone before him at the back for Italy, then Liverpool are on to a winner. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing what he's all about, and I'm sure we will get an opportunity to see him probably in the third round of the League Cup.
I'll go into bat for him a little bit here because you hear, he's been sent off early on, and you start to panic a little bit. Palmer, that's his first taste of top flight football. He'd been on loan at Sampdoria in the second division last year. He was before that at Padova in the third division. And I think that Roma game would have only been his seventh or eighth match, if that. But then he comes back from the suspension and he's first choice for the final weeks of the campaign. And you look at the results here, gets a clean sheet in a 1-0 win over Juventus, a clean sheet in a 0-0 draw with Napoli, as you mentioned, against Lukaku.
That apparently was such a big result for them in terms of staying away from danger, and obviously Napoli were the
but they were one win away. Not
at
at that point, they were 1 win away. So if they won against Parma, I think they'd have won the league. So they managed to delay that for a little bit. So that makes it even more
apparently,
impressive.
by all accounts, he bullied Lukaku that day, which doesn't happen very often, does it? So that is quite a feather in a young player's cap. And just watching clips of him, he's an absolute unit, isn't he? And he's still only 18, so plenty of time for him to grow in stature and grow in profile. And yeah, let's see what he's all about. We are expecting confirmation of that today or tomorrow. So it could be a very shrewd move from Richard Hughes, whose contacts in Italy have helped sort of pave the way for this one.
I'm quite impressed by the fee as well. I know it's quite excessive maybe to when Liverpool have looked at younger players before. Like you mentioned Sepp Vandenberg, he was 3 million. But when you think they were looking at Huijsen, they were looking at Yoro, they were both 50 million plus. So to get someone who they rate very, very highly for half of that puts you in good stead. And as you've said, low loan exit. He can qualify for homegrown status if he has a good 3 years with Liverpool here. And it is just so nice to have a full centre-back in that squad again.
And they needed it, let's be honest. I've got a bit of a thing about the way Liverpool sort of homegrown and their young players have been moved on. And it's the way of the world now in football because of things like PSR. You sell Jarell Quansah. What did he go for? 35 million?
Yeah.
Quite a considerable fee, considering how much he's played, really. And that I think they'll get that as pure profit. So selling that player makes sense to the accountants. But if you are signing players to come through to develop to go into the first team, are they thinking about bedding these players into a side, or are they thinking about, we're going to build this guy up so we can then make a big profit on him and go and sign someone else? The second one bit doesn't necessarily fit that comfortably with me, if I'm honest.
I totally get what you mean by that. I really do. And I think maybe at other clubs, it's maybe a little bit more cynical, further down the pecking order, because you don't have to be as good at other clubs. But, at Liverpool's level, that type of very elite Premier League clubs, it's so difficult to break into the team and become a star of the team. And you look at some of the fees that are being paid for these players, the players who are coming in, it's harder than ever really to become a star of the team from the academy level. So if you just fall short, it's not necessarily a slight on you as a player. So it's almost like, okay, it's a bit of a silver medal, but if Liverpool are selling Jarell Quansah for 35 million to a club like Bayer Leverkusen, then it's shows that the academy is doing its job. The first point of call is to bring through a Trent or a Steven Gerrard or a Curtis Jones. But if not, it's to get players who move on and make big profits for the club. So I totally get your point about being a little bit cynical and stuff, but I guess it's just the way the football world operates now.
That's a big change to, how the academy was viewed 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Your Steve Highway days or whatever. There was never the view we're going to bring these players through to sell them. You know what I mean? It was always we're going to bring them through to play in the first team, and if you don't make the grade, then you'll get sold. And probably obviously not for the type of money we're talking here. I mean, the likes of Ben Doak, has been linked, £20 million move to Leeds potentially could happen. Liverpool pursued him for quite a while. I think they paid £600,000 for him. Great player, but he could be another victim of that revolving door. I do feel sorry for these players a little bit, but that's the level Liverpool are at now, aren't they? And it's pretty brutal.
And it is what's helping them bring these players in. And you can see the succession plan in there because, say, Quansah goes 35 million. We know Liverpool have got a buyback in that deal. Van Dijk has a 2-year contract. You don't know what situation it will be with him in those 2 years if you want to buy Quansah back. But then you've also got Leoni there. You have 2 years to look at him. As 18, he can be patient. He can be that fourth choice learning from a Van Dijk, whereas Quansah was at that stage of his career where he needed to go and play regularly. So it's about having your eyes in all these different places and having Liverpool in that best position going forward. Because, if the academy is more raising funds now, it's just the way it is when you reach that level at a Liverpool, at a Man City. Because if we go into Man City, Cole Palmer, James McAtee, Romeo Lavia, etc., 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 these clubs are doing it so successfully.
Yeah, 100%. And for years, that was never really a thing for Liverpool, was it? Like Rich says then, it was either you were a Michael Owen, you were a Robbie Fowler, Steven Gerrard, or you were a David Thompson who just fell short a little bit and moved on and didn't really make the club big money when you did so. And it's very much an industry in itself now, isn't it? Extracting top dollar for players who have big futures in the game, but maybe just shy of being a star for a club who were looking to win the Premier League. And there's no slight in that at all. And, look at Quansah going to Leverkusen there. He's their record signing.
Yep.
It's big money for them, and he's got a big future. And I think Liverpool have been really shrewd in inserting that buyback clause to see how he develops. If he has a good season in the Bundesliga with Leverkusen and he hadn't previously been a Liverpool player, you'd be looking at it and thinking, well, this kid is 22, 23 years of age, just to come off a really big season at Leverkusen. Is he a type of player who Liverpool should be looking at? So I think having that buyback clause in there is quite shrewd. And then, like you say, Van Dijk got another 2 years on the clock at least, and that gives the likes of Leoni to develop and improve and iron out the kinks to his game, not get sent off after half an hour, things like that. So I think it's, him coming in, and we're going to move on to Marc Guehi, aren't we? But I think having looked to be in a real difficult position a few days ago, it looks like the storm clouds have lifted considerably now in the centre half department.
Now, we've seen footage of Leoni arriving at the airport in Italy ahead of flying to England. Gio, I'm going to call him Gio as I'm calling Florian Flo. If you're watching, may I recommend you download Saily? It's NordVPN's new app available for download, which will allow you reliable and affordable internet access on your trip abroad. Yes, he's moving to England, but he's not a Liverpool player yet. This is a trip abroad. Saily, it's the new eSIM service app. You can choose from several affordable eSIM data plans in over 200 destinations. And I'm assuming that the UK is one of those destinations for non-GB locals. You'll always have a connection when needed. Basically gives you cheap data, doesn't it? You can download Saily in your app store, use our code BLOODRED at checkout to get an exclusive 15% off your first purchase. For more information, go to our episode description box and click saily.com/bloodred. I've just got this lovely image of Leoni in his hotel tonight at a loose end. He downloads Saily and then he can watch any sporting event, any TV show, any film which isn't available in our region.
He could watch this podcast.
All he has to do is switch to his virtual location, like he's back in Italy, access all those streaming services, living the dream in whichever hotel the club puts him in tonight.
Yes, I think we know what hotel that will be as well. But
Mamma mia.
Yeah, I was trying to think of an Italian TV show, but I couldn't. The only one that comes to my head is The Sopranos, clearly not Italian. So, yes, but yeah, I thought that was quite a seamless transition there, Theo. Well done.
I try. I'm running out of these for the moment. I'm glad they've got someone coming in from abroad so I could get another one in with Leoni. As we have mentioned already, he is not the only centre-back Liverpool have been in talks with this week. Arne Slot did briefly allude to it in his press conference today with Marc Guehi. Talks were opened on Monday, potentially, or at least they became public knowledge on Monday. Yeah. Not really heard too much since then, Gorsty, but where are we up to?
No, we haven't, have we? Liverpool are in talks with Palace over a deal, and it was interesting. We were at Wembley on Sunday, weren't we? And overheard Steve Parish basically almost giving a bit of a come and get me plea to clubs who are interested in Marc Guehi, i.e. Liverpool, and it's something that we've known was likely to happen for a while now. Liverpool almost waiting to get towards the end of the window when Palace's hand was becoming increasingly forced. They're not a club who can absorb the loss of a 40-50 million pound player as easily as other clubs like Liverpool, who in the past have been willing to let the likes of Gino Wijnaldum, Emre Can, Roberto Firmino, all these sorts of players leave on a free, preferring to get an extra year off them. Rather than selling them with a year to go, you let them run down the contract, and they're more valuable having them for the season rather than selling them for a cut price. But Crystal Palace, who don't have the luxury of European football's bounty flowing into their coffers every year, they do this year, but it's only,
Conference League.
Conference League, yeah. It's only Conference League, which is nowhere near as lucrative as the Europa League, and certainly nowhere near as much as the Champions League. So they're not in a position to let Marc Guehi leave for free. So they are happy to field offers for him, and Liverpool are looking to nudge ahead of the queue. And obviously Newcastle were interested last year, but it's been our understanding for a while that Marc Guehi would jump at the chance to leave for Liverpool. So yeah, let's see what happens with that. Fees of somewhere between 30 and 40 million being spoken about. Oliver Glasner apparently wants to keep him because he sees how important he's going to be for the first ever campaign in Europe. But I think Steve Parish and the sort of wider ownership group accept that they need to get some money in for a player who otherwise will be leaving for nothing next year. So yeah, I think Liverpool will get him now, and it's just a case of can they come to an agreement?
It's all very exciting, Liverpool going for these two centre-backs after months of seeming like they're going to be short, having wanted centre-backs every summer for the last 3 years and it not happening. But let's not forget, they do have one centre-back back in training this week. Joe Gomez overcome that minor Achilles issue. Arne Slot's confirmed that he could be back in the squad on Friday. He's not had much luck with injuries, has he, Rich? But it's good to see him back in contention.
Absolutely. We're going to need him. That's clear. It's mad to think that maybe, this time 12 months ago, there was talk of him leaving for Newcastle. And fast forward a year, and there's certainly no talk of that. We couldn't afford to lose Joe Gomez. And apart from his experience and leadership qualities he can bring from being at the club for so long, to stitch it all together with new players and what have you, we're going to need the attributes that he brings. One being his versatility to play anywhere across that back four, or even step into midfield in emergencies if needed. But another sort of issue identified at Wembley at the weekend is how exposed Liverpool can look in the fullback areas. Fantastic going forward, but I thought Glasner had clearly done his homework, and any time moves broke down, a ball was getting bombed in behind the two fullbacks. Who I'm excited about the signing of both of those fullbacks, but it's still early days on the jury's out on how good they are defensively in a Liverpool team. And I can see situations, particularly with Frimpong, who is smaller than me. So
might be smaller than me. You never know.
Well, yeah, I think he's 5'6". I think, or something like that.
That's close. Then I might just edge it. Depends if I'm on tiptoes or not.
It's like Zola level, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, look, this is absolute honest truth. He came out at Wembley, and he came out with Canate almost next to him, and I was like, "Oh, Canate's got the mascot with him." And I was like, no, it's not the mascot. It's honestly that was the size difference.
How far away is he?
Yeah, I had to have a double take because I think it was the first time I must have seen Frimpong in the flesh, and yeah.
Do you need a new prescription on that?
These are brand new, mate. These are brand new.
He went on Monday after seeing Frimpong.
Yeah, I won't name the optician. They are not affiliated to this podcast, but yeah,
maybe there can be in time.
There's still time, yeah, but he's lightning quick. Frimpong, very exciting player, great enthusiasm, a lot of good qualities, and really excited about seeing him play. But he is not a tall man, and when Liverpool are defending Leeds, he's going to be targeted. And balls dropping balls in at that back post is going to be something that teams are going to try again and again. So that's where Gomez comes in, because I can see situations when Liverpool are defending Leeds, particularly away from home, where they're going to need him to come in and shore things up at the back post.
Yeah, definitely. We know Joe Gomez could be back on Friday. Liverpool are going to be without Ryan Gravenberch. He's suspended, and that, I suppose, sheds more light on the fact that they could be a bit weak defensively from set pieces, for example, because we know Slot's grumbled about it a few times throughout pre-season. But short fullbacks, they don't have the first choice.
No Conor Bradley either.
No Conor Bradley. Yeah. It's not ideal, is it? Like, at least Alexis McAllister's back in contention, but something needs to be improved from Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, McAllister's had a bit of a truncated pre-season, hasn't he? He gets injured at the back end of last season to basically take the decision to take him off the firing line to rest up, and as a result, he wasn't in from the very beginning, was he? So I think he comes in. Trying to think now, did he play against Yokohama? I can't even remember now, but
I think that was the first one back, wasn't it?
Yeah. So he hasn't played a lot at all, and him and Gravenberch obviously you'd suggest they're the first choice in that sort of those two sitting midfield positions. So Liverpool could start the game without both, really, tomorrow, couldn't he? We're going to come on to pick our teams, I guess, but, I mean, Szoboszlai is the interesting one for me in midfield this season because, he did so much work as a forward-thinking player in terms of getting about the pitch, pressing, harrying opponents into mistakes. He was just tireless with his running power, but if you're playing deeper, is he able to utilise that as much? You can't really go roaming from those positions.
We saw against Palace, didn't we? The gaps that were being left
in
midfield.
It was easy, wasn't it, to get at Liverpool, Liverpool getting caught in possession and they were too open at times, and that's something that Slotter's going to have to work on, and I think they will work on it, but I think what's important is between this game and Newcastle, there's 10 days on the training pitch, isn't there? So that's a lot of time there for a manager to really, get his hands dirty on the training pitch and work on the things that need sorting, and I think that is definitely one of those. But, generally I think Liverpool have got a nice little blend there in the midfield with, Gravenberch and McAllister, Jones and Szoboszlai, and then a bit further forward you've got Elliott, who's still at the club, and of course Florian Wirtz. So yeah, there's a good blend there to Liverpool's midfield generally, but little bit unsure as to what they're going to do about tomorrow because McAllister doesn't quite look 100% at the moment, but issues for playing without your first choice midfield essentially.
Yeah, we'll get to our lineups for this one at the end of the episode, but we'll stick with that deeper midfield partnership because if we're going further forward, Gravenberch's obviously first choice as the 6, but it's a hell of a dilemma to go who's first choice alongside him because McAllister, one of the players of the season last year, but Szoboszlai's pressing is so good. He's a vital part of that Liverpool team, and then you've just gone and spent 116 million upwards for Wirtz. You're not going to bench him when you just to put Szoboszlai in at number 10. I don't envy Arne Slot making that decision. What about you, Rich?
Well, Wirtz is going to start, isn't he? Otherwise, it's just wasted a lot of money. So, and I was impressed with how he played, particularly in the first half on Sunday. And
nice assist.
Yeah, and I just thought he was really economical with the ball. He never overplayed at any point. He was happy for all. He didn't try and do too much himself.
Yeah.
And I thought that was notable and just was kind of a little bit of a sign of a classy player, really. So very much looking forward to seeing him at Anfield tomorrow. So I think he'll definitely be in. But in terms of your other position, like Szoboszlai, if you've got no McAllister, yes, you can have him in, but I am worried if there's no McAllister and no Gravenberch. I'm a little bit worried about how vulnerable Liverpool looked when they didn't have the ball. So that might open up opportunities for others who would not normally be automatic starters, maybe even Endo, just to try and get the balance right. But yeah, he's got a tricky decision to make. You'd hope, obviously, that McAllister is fit enough to go, but he kind of hinted in his press conference
I thought
today.
he looked very rusty at Wembley as well, McAllister. I wasn't surprised when he missed the penalty.
Yeah, and that's probably below the standard we expect of him, isn't it? Certainly one of Liverpool's absolutely standout performers last season, and that's the level he set for himself. And if he's not quite ready to replicate that, then Slot might decide to look at someone else.
Now, it's probably a telling sign of Liverpool's summer so far that Florian Wirtz isn't quite the massive talking point going into tomorrow's game because Liverpool have signed like 5 players since he came in at the end of June.
Yeah.
We know they're trying to break the record, or they could try and break the record again to go and get Alexander Isak. But Sky Germany gave us a little bit of a reminder of that excitement around him by turning up at Kirby today. And Arne Slot come out and said he's been impressed by him, but he's also been surprised a little bit by how well Wirtz has settled in so far. What did you make of his answer and what you've seen of him in the summer so far, Gorst?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult for Slot because he's not naturally a manager who talks up players to the hilt. So when he's asked individually about players, he always seeks to play it down a little bit, but you don't want to do that too much either with your all singing, all dancing club record number 10 who's just come in from Germany and is the Bundesliga Player of the Year and
up for the Ballon d'Or.
Up for the Ballon d'Or, yeah. He's just got voted Germany's Player of the Year as well from Kicker magazine, which is an influential football magazine in Germany. So he's coming off an incredible year, really. Personally, obviously they finished second to Bayern Munich, but what sort of couple of years he's had as a player. And I think for Liverpool to get him is just a statement of where they are at the moment. Pipping Manchester City and Bayern Munich to, the duel of German football, if you like. So, difficult for Slot to talk it down too much. And I think he's shown in his pre-season programme so far of just what he can offer. There was a couple of times, there was one against AC Milan where he just sort of dips his shoulder and then he's away. And he plays the ball to Elliott, who's a little bit on his hunches and could have done better. But it was just a wonderful, silky little passage of play, and that's what he can bring. He did it in the first half as well on Sunday. He sort of drops his shoulder on, was it Adam Wharton, and he's away again. And he's just got lovely balance and poise, and he works to go with that. He never stops. I was watching him off the ball in Japan, and the runs he makes, every time he gives it, he doesn't just stand and admire it. He makes the run elsewhere and makes it easier for the opponent and for his teammates to progress up the field with it. He's just going to be a wonderful player for Liverpool. I'm just so excited to see him this season and for his entire Liverpool career. And I think they've got a player who, if not is already world class, he's on the cusp of becoming that, and I think he can certainly get there at Liverpool.
Well, it seemed like Sky Germany were excited to have him in the Premier League as well, judging by the fact they've flown over. I wonder if our German counterparts will be getting on Saily, switching their virtual location and looking to save money when purchasing flights, hotels, or even subscriptions from other countries at a cheaper price. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Anyway, moving on. That is the last time we're going to.
How many plugs do we?
I told you, Mr. Producer Ian has put in a load in this for us to do in this episode. So I've been trying to get them all in.
No, fair play.
But that is the last
double
one.
bubble today, mate. Not too sure.
You never know, mate. Might need every penny I can get. But anyway, start of the season is here. Liverpool, defending Premier League champions. Defence starts at home in front of the home fans. How are we feeling?
Excited, but nervous at the same time. I said a few weeks ago, Liverpool have made all these signings. It's pretty it is unprecedented. I've never known a summer transfer window like it. I'm a little bit petrified by the whole thing because there's a lot of change, Theo, and I don't like change. No, I do like change. I do like change, but there's a lot happening all at once, and there could be still more to happen as well. If Isak comes in, if Guehi comes in, there's more change to come. So that team that won the league is effectively been broken up.
So 6 departures from that squad so far? 4 of them starters, something like that.
Diaz, Nunes, Trent, Kelleher,
Kwanzaa,
and obviously we know sadly what happened with Diogo. 6, yeah.
Yeah, and of course there could be a couple more as well. We're not too sure yet, but so yeah, it's a new team, and we saw both sides of the coin at Wembley. I think we saw, such an exciting start. Wow, look at these great players. Ekitike looked brilliant. I was really excited by him. But Bournemouth are no mugs. So
they've had a lot of changes too, by the way. Let's get that on record.
Yeah, and Liverpool will be expected to win. And I expect Liverpool to win. But the expectations are high. There's a lot of pressure. And hopefully the new lads can just, grab the bull by the horns on that and go for it. And it should be, hopefully, a great night. It's going to be a bit of a emotional night as well with everything that tragically happened in the summer. But once the game starts, we get down to business. I'm sure the lads will want to do the best.
Well, there are going to be tributes to Diogo Jota ahead of tomorrow's game. Is it? They're getting mosaic in the crowd. And imagine there's going to be minute silence, black armbands, all that. What more do we know on that, Gorst?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether they're going to bring out the wreath in front of the Kop in the way that they've been doing across pre-season. We've seen it in Hong Kong and Japan and
Deepdale, Wembley.
Yeah. So it's been a summer long thing, and I think it's difficult to sort of second guess the impact it might have on this group of players who've tragically lost a much beloved colleague, a friend. So he's almost going to be with them in spirit across the entire season. They've got the Forever 20 embroidered on the bottom of the kit.
That was a really nice touch. I like that.
Just as a way of keeping Jota with them across the course of this season. There's going to be emotional checkpoints along the way. The games against Wolves are going to be heavy and emotional, and
then if you get like Atletico Madrid or Porto in the Champions League,
just anything like that. And I just think big wins big. You can sort of imagine just big super, wins on a Super Sunday, and after the game, if the fans are chanting Jota's name for whatever reason, just all these sorts of things that are going to come along naturally and organically, and I mean, he's going to have a large sort of presence across the season, isn't he? And that can only be a good thing, just to remember him in terms of what he brought to the club across the 5 years that he was there. Premier League winner, wasn't he? And we won every domestic cup at Liverpool, and Forever 20, I guess, is more than just a slogan, because they've retired the number in his honour, and that, I guess, certainly for the first few weeks of the season, the minute 20 in the game is going to be met with applause, isn't it? For Jota's memory.
Score, that was the 20th minute, 20th second. So
I think Liverpool have handled this fantastically well across the course of the summer. It's a difficult situation for everyone. It's harrowing. It's horrific for his family first and foremost. But I mean, the club have really shown, the mantra of "you never walk alone" is more than just a song they sing before the game. It means something, and I'm sure Diogo's family can attest to that, and they always will be, because the club will always have him in their minds and hearts.
Now, this is our last episode before the start of the season, so we'll do some LFC predictions for the campaign. We will have a wider predictions piece going out on the website tomorrow morning, but that's more overall in the Premier League. For this, we'll just focus on Liverpool and how we think they'll do. Starting with you, Rich. They're the defending champions. Where do you reckon they'll finish in the Premier League this season?
The business they've done is exceptional, and that points to me saying that they can retain the title. However, I do think there'll be a few bumps in the road, and I think Chelsea have done well, have recruited well and look good, and have got some momentum. Whether they can sustain that after being in the Club World Cup, we'll find out in the latter stages of the season. But on paper, I think Liverpool can do it.
How about you, Gorst?
Yeah, I agree. I think Chelsea and City is a very interesting one, because I think we might see them both fly up the traps, given that they haven't really had any time off. They should be sharper and fitter, given that they've been playing competitive football right the way through until sort of mid-July. But I think we might see both tired around Christmas time, when the fixtures come thick and fast. One or two injuries get picked up. And I'm still backing Liverpool to win the league, I mean, I think this is the first time that I can remember, really, where Liverpool are unequivocally going into the season as favourites. Maybe 2020, 2021, but we always knew that Man City was still, going to strike back at some stage. But
it was a strange summer, that one as well.
Yeah, it was, with the transfer window closing in September and stuff like that. But I think Liverpool should be considered favourites, and like Rich says, the business they've done means that, for me, I think they will come out on top spot. And if they get Alexander Isak, then, I think they definitely will finish top spot.
Well, with Leoni coming in, that's spending 320 odd million. You get Isak, you get Marc Guehi, it's going over 450, up to 500. This summer business is clearly one eye on the Champions League. Wasn't the best for them last year, getting knocked out early to PSG. They're going to want to go further in it this year. How deep can they go in the Champions League? Can they win that 7th European crown, Rich?
Yeah, if they can avoid PSG in the first round of the knockout stages. They were very unlucky to go out when they went out last season.
Yeah.
That game at Anfield, that second leg, I think it was one of the highest levels of football I've ever watched in the whole time I've been watching Association Soccer. To be honest with you,
Association Soccer.
Keep up with 46 Theo. Keep up with the terminology. But yeah, so they were unlucky to go out to PSG, and PSG were historically a team that I disliked and have kind of grown to like them more out of respect for the players that they've got on the manager.
Gil had a big fan of him.
Well, do you know what? He was, and then he went off them, and now he likes them again. He's gone. He went full circle on Mbappe. He loved Mbappe, and then he didn't. Now he's he likes the team and just the way that they play football, and he's had the privilege of seeing that himself in the flesh. So I would expect Liverpool to be right up there, they've got the players to do it. It's just that game management, isn't it? You've got to have game management in Europe, particularly over two legs. I know we don't have the away goals anymore, but you still got to manage things probably in a slightly different way than you do to the Premier League. And providing you can do that, then there's no reason why they can't be there right at the very end.
I think he will have learned a lot from last season. I think everyone has really, in terms of the new look structure of it, and no one really knew how it was going to work. What was the benefits to finishing top as opposed to finishing fourth and all that sort of stuff? Don't think it matters a whole lot now in terms of.
They've tweaked it slightly so it's like home advantage as you go.
I mean, as long as you're in the qualification spots, then you're fine. So I think that will afford Onslaught the opportunity to rest and rotate a bit more than he did last season, which might keep. He's got a bigger squad to go for this summer as well, this season. So I think that might help in terms of the latter stages when Liverpool looked really tired around March time when they were not fortunate, but they'd done enough to build up a bit of enough of a lead for it to not be a real issue, didn't he? But I think he will have learned a lot from that this summer. So I think we will see a bit more resting and rotating in the early going to keep players fresh for those crucial knockout stages.
At risk of a telling off from Joe and Doyley, I'm going to overlook the domestic cups. I know how much they both love one or the other, but we'll go to more individual here. Who do you reckon is going to be Liverpool's top scorer this season? Because obviously Salah is insane, does it year after year, but he has an AFCON, and Liverpool have got a nice new £79 million striker up front at the moment. They could have 120, 30, 40, whatever figure Newcastle want to throw on that as well. Is it obvious to go for Mo Salah, or could there be a new leading goal scorer emerging?
I think there will be a new leading goal scorer.
Oh, bold.
I think it'll leave.
Is he Swedish?
He could be Swedish, but if they don't have any Swedes in the squad, then he could be French. No, I don't see Salah scoring as many goals this season. I think that's going to be shared. I said the minute he signed that new contract, it was time to replace him. You built that process. Yeah, I mean,
he's done.
Right.
Yeah, I honestly meant it, because you've got to. I don't think he'll get another contract after this one, and the process to replace him and not being reliant on Mo Salah needed to start immediately, and they've took the steps to do that. So I think if they get Alexander Isak, he'll be the club's top goal scorer, and if they don't, it'll be Hugo Ekitike.
It's interesting. It's bold betting against Mo Salah, given he's finished top scorer every season of his 8. So I'm going to sit on the fence and say it's going to be Mo again. But if they get Isak, then he'll have real competition for that top scorer, and I think they might actually do that as well.
This question is going to be similar lines, that the player of the season. I suppose it's more Florian Wirtz is the competition for him this time than just Mo on his own.
Yeah. I mean, it could be Van Dijk, couldn't it? He had a great season last time out and was just as integral for Liverpool winning the league as Mo Salah was at the other end. McAllister?
Yeah.
I'll go with McAllister.
Go McAllister. What about you, Rich?
Well, I was asked this question yesterday, and I said Wirtz, and I'll stick with that. I like what I see, but if looking beyond that, I would have to agree with Gorst and say McAllister could be the standout candidate.
And the final one I've got is breakout star or surprise player. So if you want to go for a youngster, there's a pretty obvious one. But if you want to go for someone who's going to excel expectations, probably like Gravenberch last year, by all means, we'll stick with you, Rich, for the first answer.
So on this one, I actually think Conor Bradley, who has got a unbelievable opportunity in front of him, I think. Trent Alexander-Arnold is gone. They've brought in Jeremy Frimpong, but there are question marks over how
tall he is.
How tall he is, as I've already alluded to. There's no question marks over that. He's not very tall. Right. But as exciting a player as he is, how good is he defensively? We're going to find out over the next few weeks. But I really think Bradley has got an opportunity to stake his claim as a first-team regular. But not only that, a player who can become very important for Liverpool in years to come, and that will come down to his performances. I do think he's got some of the characteristics to be a future captain. So
you're full of the big shouts today. I'm loving it.
You can tell I'm going on holiday, can't you?
That's what we want.
It was that meal deal, mate. But yeah, it could go one of two ways, obviously. But I think he could emerge as the breakout star, and I'm backing him to do it.
I mean, Rio Ngamoa, is he the obvious one you were talking about?
He was the one I was referring to.
I'm not too sure how much he's going to play.
He'll get the cup games on him.
Yeah, I'd like to see him in Liverpool cruising in games, but weirdly, for a club the size of Liverpool, that doesn't happen as often as you might think. Liverpool 2-3-4-0 up with 15-20 minutes to go. So I'm going to say Milos Kerkez because he's only 21. So he could be the breakout star at left back. We imagine he's going to start the season ahead of Andy Robertson based on pre-season selection. So I'll go with Kerkez.
I'm going to flick through some of these comments and questions now before we move on to predictions for Friday. Scouse and Ed's pointed out that the BBC pundits' predictions for the campaign, and former Newcastle United star legend Chris Waddle has Liverpool down in fourth. So someone's pointed out, I wonder what's upset him. Would it be a certain Swedish striker?
Could very well be,
We'll see. Liverpool 67 believes that Liverpool could go back in for a holding midfielder before the window closes. What are your thoughts on that? You
Don't see it. Wataru Endo's still there. He is needed for cover at centre back as much as defensive midfield now. But while he is there, I think Liverpool are well stocked in midfield.
John O goes on Newcastle deliberately not signing a striker to try and force Isaac to stay. I wouldn't say they're deliberately not signing because they have tried time and time again. They're just making an absolute mess of it because they don't have a sporting director.
Yeah, they just reached an agreement. Well, I've been on this pod. They've reached an agreement for Jacob Ramsey at Aston Villa. Obviously, a bit of a box-to-box midfielder rather than a striker. But maybe now Andy Howe, the inexperienced nephew of Eddie, can move on to securing a striker that they need.
Lee says he liked David Thompson. Nice little throwback to you bringing him up earlier.
Yeah. No, it wasn't a slight on David Thompson at all. It was just more in years gone by, Liverpool wouldn't have thought of selling them in terms of, those sorts of players who just don't quite make the grade. They wouldn't have been thought of as massively valuable assets in the way the players are now if they don't quite make the grade. We're talking about Harvey Elliott, haven't we? And, if he moves on, Liverpool's still looking for really good money for him rather than just, he hasn't made the grade, happy to move him on and get him as move for a bit of a cut price deal.
Wild Dead Wolf's given a big shout out to Chelsea because given some of their winnings, haven't they, from the Club World Cup to Jota's family and Andre Silva's family. That was a really nice touch. Did you get onto the club?
No, it was a story from the Athletics today, wasn't it? Adam Crafton, I think, wrote the story, and fair play to the Chelsea players who have donated a portion of their Club World Cup winnings, reportedly, to the family of Diogo Jota and Andre Silva. Football just coming together, really. Obviously rivals on the pitch, but professionals at the end of the day, and they know, what a horrendous tragedy that has befallen Liverpool and certainly Jota's family. So that was a nice touch from them.
We'll move on to lineups now and predictions. Imagine the back five is going to pick itself for both of you, but I'll leave you to it. Who are you going with, Rich?
Might be throwing a curveball in.
Okay, I'd imagine the curveball's left back.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Robertson?
Yeah. So, but being a traditionalist, we'll start from the right. So, Alisson in goal, Frimpong at right back, Canate and Van Dijk. I've got a little question at left back because of how exposed I thought Liverpool looked on Sunday. And although I do expect Kerkez to start games ahead of Andy Robertson, he's been bought for that very reason. I've just got a feeling that he might want to go with a little bit more experience for this first game of the season. And for that reason alone, I'm bringing Andy Robbo in.
Not a bad shout, to be honest. I can totally understand the thinking. I just think Slot will stick with Kerkez and just get him used to that partnership down the left with Virgil.
Against his former club too, of course, so he knows them well.
Yeah, I saw they've been decimated, haven't they? They've lost Huijsen, lost Sabani and Kerkez and the goalkeeper, so, they're...
Dango's looking like he's going to go to Brentford to replace Visser.
But defensively, that they've had to totally sort of restructure, haven't they? They've got Truffert as a left back. They've signed the centre-back, Diakite, this week from Lille, is it? But I'm not sure whether he's cleared to play. If he is, he wouldn't have had much time on the training pitch with his new teammates, so that's an area to target. But yeah, I'll stick with Kerkez just because I think Slot wants to get that partnership with Van Dijk sort of ironed out quick sooner rather than later, I think.
Sticking with you, Gorst, for the midfield. A couple of players missing, but who would you go for?
Yeah, I think you might give McAllister an hour alongside Szoboszlai. Obviously, we know Gravenberch is suspended, so Jones can come in if needed, and Endo. And Florian Wirtz further forward in the number 10.
You said, Rich, earlier that you might go for Endo. Are you sticking with that or not?
Well, I'd rather play McAllister. And if he's fit, or fit enough, I should say, then, yeah, I think that's a fairly decent shout from Gorsty to try and give him an hour and see where he's at. So if if he's good enough to go, I would definitely have him in there with the same midfield, Szoboszlai and Wirtz.
And I'd imagine the front three picks itself partly because there are no senior backers at the moment. But yeah, correct me if I'm wrong if you want to throw in a curveball.
If it's Salah, Ekitike, Gakpo,
Yes.
yes, that is exactly what I'd pick.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really make a case for Chiesa, can you? And you don't think you ever can make a case for Chiesa unless it's sort of League Cup action without being harsh. So yeah, it has to be. That's why Liverpool in desperate need of a centre forward, or at least some sort of forward-thinking player before the window shuts. Because last year they had 6 senior internationals. We know what tragically has happened with Diogo, but they've sold Nunes, they've sold Diaz, and so far they've only got Ekitike in. So work to be done.
We've got a few people giving their lineups in the comments, and one's agreeing with one of you, one's agreeing with the other by the looks of it. But we have also got shouts for Endo coming in. Keep them coming. Obviously, we're going to be going off air in about 5 minutes, but your comments can still come in. We love them anyway. We love the feedback. Score predictions now. Liverpool last time they were reigning champions. It was a 7-goal thriller, wasn't it, against Leeds United? Expecting something as exciting this time round?
No, I think Liverpool will be nice and professional. 3-1.
What about you, Rich?
I was going to say 3-1, but I feel obliged to say something else. So I'll be positive. I think there's goals there. I do think they'll concede, unfortunately, but I think they can stick it to Bournemouth. AFC Bournemouth.
Above them in the table at the moment, of course, alphabetically.
Of course, yeah. Do you know, I think I read once that the A in the AFC, you might think would stand for Athletic. I don't think it stands for anything.
Just A.
Just A.
Just to get them in there.
Just
AFC Bournemouth.
Yeah, I think I have to double check that. You might need to Google it.
Maybe that could be an SEO piece for tomorrow.
Something I could check on my holidays if I'm using some sort of roaming data plan.
No more plugs. They've had enough.
Is that it? I'll go with 4-1. 4-1. Yeah.
You're both feeling a bit bolder than me.
4-1, yeah.
I was thinking more like a 2-1. But we'll see.
But the last time Liverpool, I said this on Monday, the last time Liverpool started their Premier League campaign on a Friday night at Anfield, they went on to win the league by 18 points, I think it was in the end, wasn't it?
Nowhere near as many signings then either.
No, they got 99 points and it could have been a lot more. So, positive omens.
That's all we've got time for today. Thanks to Gorsty and Rich for joining me. As you'll have noticed, this is Thursday. We're not in our normal Friday slot, but you will get a Blood Red podcast tomorrow. We had a Voice of Anfield, George Sefton, in the office yesterday with Ryan Patton. As you can see over my shoulder, we've got his book just there next to Gorsty. They recorded a special podcast on his time as Liverpool Stadium announcer. That will be going up at 11 a.m. on YouTube, and even earlier if you're listening to it on Apple or Spotify. So look out for that. On Saturday, obviously, we'll all be at the Bournemouth. On Friday, we'll all be at the Bournemouth game, so you get your usual match coverage from the Echo. I'm off on Monday, but I think we're going to be doing our normal Blood Red slot there, where we'll be looking back over the opening weekend of the Premier League season. Fingers crossed, the Liverpool start their title for defence in style. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.